Ed here, RedBeard Knife and Tool. Let's restore a hog splitter. First thing we need to do is we need to get underneath this handle. This is a Foster Brothers trademark solid steel 16 inch. It's 16 inches from here to here, and overall it's 33 inches. It is absolutely massive. The biggest hog splitter I've ever seen. I'm sure there's bigger, but this one's the biggest I've ever seen. And what I'm going to do to restore this, it's got some age to it, but it's not terribly aged. It's old, but doesn't seem too aged. As far as I can tell from the customer is, here, I'll show you the mark. It's right there. Yeah. As far as I can tell, it's from the late 1800s to early 1900s. So let's go ahead and start getting this canvas cover torn off. You see it's already kind of coming apart. But I'm just going to cut it right down the center of the tang, and hopefully it'll just peel right off. Nice utility knife. Cut it right down the center. This stuff is pretty thick. Ooh, went right through. Got a seam to follow, so that's good. Alright, let's see where we're at. Let's go. Pretty crispy. Pretty crispy. This wood is, it's almost like there's nothing left of it. It's just so deteriorated. Very interesting. So we got some remnants of red tape, electrical tape, and some other kind of tape. Let's see, get a screwdriver. See if we can pop that loose with a screwdriver. Yeah. Whatever pins are in there, they're pretty much deteriorated too, I would imagine. There we go. More handle material. So we got 3 pins. There we go. That's a mess. So yeah, the tang's in good shape. It's still solid, so that's not too terrible. These pins must be steel pins. I don't know. All right. Let's see if we can do what we need to do about getting these pins out. I'm going to put this thing in my vise, try to cut off both sides of the pins, and I'm going to use my cushions too. You know, it's better to be safe than sorry. So let's cut these pins off. Using my hacksaw rather than the grinder. Oh yeah, they're steel. So I'm going to have to clean this tang off anyway. I'm going to go ahead and start cleaning the tang for now with the biscuit wheel, and that'll be able to tell me what I need to do to get these pins out. This is what I use, a paint stripping disc on a lot of axe restorations. It only takes it off as much material as in reference to the pressure that you put on it. So if you don't put a bunch of pressure on, it's not going to take a bunch of material off. All right, this is where we're at. We got the one side done. A lot of the patina is still there down inside the deep pitting. But yeah, the other side, I'll do the other side, and we'll see what's what with the pins. All right, got the tang all cleaned up, and I found an additional pin down here in the end. So yeah, I'm pleased to see that, because I wasn't sure why there wasn't another pin. I think this is the pin that I didn't see at first, because I don't see it on this side. So that's super interesting. So let's try to punch these out and see if we can pop these out. Oh, that one came loose. I think it might have moved. It is moving a little bit. Yep, it's going down. Sometimes it's just a matter of knocking off that rust. There we go. Yep, no. I have my lovely assistant, bring it up some, right there, helping me. Bam! Got it out. I'm going to keep all this stuff just in case I need it for a reference. There's the front. I need that for sure. We're going to work on, this is a piece of, I don't know if you can see it, curly maple. You see the curls all going. It's a really nice piece of curly maple. But this is what I'm going to use for the new handle. And basically what I'm going to do is just set this up here, figure out what size I'm going to need. Look at that curve. It almost matches. That is freaking outstanding. I'm gonna move this over, get this other piece of scrap, set it under the knife so I can get a good trace on it. You remember this piece that I saved? This is where the front stopped. So that's where it needs to stop. So I'm gonna give it about, probably go all the way to the crease right there. Maybe the spot where I want to stop. I don't need this anymore. This pen, it's the cheapest pen, but it writes on everything, and I love it. I didn't have the other end. Hang on a minute. This is why you don't throw things away until you're finished with the project. So this piece stops right here, but if you can see, it's all chewed up and ate up. But there's a line where the pitting stops, where it stops holding moisture. It's probably going to go a little further. Everything lines up where it was, so I'm going to go, basically, I moved it to the end of the curve. That's where I'm going to stop it. Or to the beginning of the circle. That's where I'm going to stop. This thing keeps turning on me. There, right there. Need something else under there. There we go. I usually cut outside of those lines anyway, So even if it's a little bit off, it'll be all right. There we go. Got that. It gets thicker as it goes down, but as long as I hit center, it'll be all right. Not going down far enough. Got a little scribe here. There. Now we have our template. Let me draw this. That was that. Get my little straight edge. I'm going to try to cut this as square as possible because I'm going to need to slice this down the center so I can have book match sets, a book match set of scales. So this is 1 inch. Take it down. There may be a little variations in my cut, but yeah, should be straight for the most part. So let me go cut this on the bandsaw. They're actually pretty straight. I'm going to use this. I'm just going to gently glide it back and forth until they're totally flat. That usually works. We'll see. Sure, you're wondering, why did he just split that thing in half? I'll show you. It makes more sense if I show you than if you... So I got super glue, carpenter's tape, painter's tape, whatever you want to call it. Run a bead of super glue all the way down both sides. Don't need a whole lot, just enough for it to stick to the tape. The tape is going to hold it together just enough to get everything lined up. The holes drilled exactly the same spot every time. I learned this from an old, this is actually is a pretty old trick. A lot of knife makers use it. Set that there. sure that's even. And just clamp them together. That's it. Come back tomorrow. Usually this only takes about 10 minutes, but it's late, and we'll pick up tomorrow. See you tomorrow. All right, day 2. So we have these. Let's get this all off. All right, so now I'm gonna drill these holes a little smaller than what I would need them, but just so they'll be lined up. See there, we're gonna basically round this off so that we're gonna take the corners off. I'm gonna use this, my 24 grit belt, to just get the angles right and the bevels, and then I'm gonna do the rest with my palm sander. All right, so we're basically going to start with, I'm going to try to start with 120, and then I got all of these others. I got 180, 240, 400, 600, 800. We're going to step it all the way up to 1,000. Oh, it might help if I put sandpaper on it. Let's get a disc on there. So that's about how you want it right there. Just a nice even little apex, and I kind of flattened it on top. But yeah, that's it. And I'm going to do this all the way up, refining the scratches from the previous grit. So let me get this other side going. So now we're at 600. No scratches. Yeah, you see that. Look at that curl. I don't know if you can see. You might not be able to see it on camera. Maybe. But man, there's a lot of curls in this wood. I'm pretty excited. Now we're going to pull these apart. So really, I just use my pocket knife. Let's start over on this side. Just pry it open. The tape comes loose. That's why I use super glue and painter's tape, because the super glue will hold it all together just enough, but it'll soak into the painter's tape more than it will the wood. There's still a little bit of super glue. You can see it. A couple tape. I'll peel all this tape off. Sand the flats. So this here is a step drill. I don't know if you can see it. Put my hand in front of it. So I'm going to go down through the holes, and I went ahead and brought my deck up to where it stops, right at the depth that I want those holes to stop at. So that's where I'm at. Yep, still good. So I'm going to drill them down, drill them out. Here's the first one. See the secondary hole. I'll explain this later, but I'm going to be using loveless bolts, which basically it's a bolt and nut that looks like a pin. We got the scales all prepped, nice and flat. Now we're going to clean up this big thing, blade and all. All right, got it all clamped in. Not going anywhere. Going to use again my biscuit wheel and just use light pressure just to clean the rust off. This thing, oh man, this thing is so cool. Look at that. See the mark right there? There was a couple of dings right there that's kind of smoothed out with the biscuit wheel. The edge is just, there's a couple of little spots. There's one little spot there. It's more like a chip. But putting an edge on this thing isn't going to be nothing at all, really. I was thinking about bluing it. I don't know. We'll see. I need to hit the rest of this tang with a wire brush. Top, bottom, left and right, to get the rest of the rust out of the pitting, and then we can get the edge put on it and get it epoxied up. I think I'm going to leave this blade natural. There's some character to it that I really like. Yeah. All right. Gotten most of the rust and the pitting out of it. Just going to start with 80 and see how it goes from there. Because I think that's the least amount that I need to get that edge back to where it's at. There's no need to create a whole new bevel when there's already an established bevel there. So I'm just going to see what I can do with 80. And if I need to, I'll drop down to 60. But I think 80 is going to do it. Yeah, we got a pretty good edge going. You see that? Let's see. There we go. Pretty good. It's not bad. And I have a burr. There's a burr going all the way down. So yeah, 80 is going to be good. $120 J-Flex, yeah, 120 J-Flex belts, basically because they have a little more flex in them, and they'll kind of help get that bevel right. Look at that. That's a clean bevel. Okay, this was 320. Now I'm going to go to 400 and then move on to the medium conditioning belt after that. This thing is coming along nicely. And who hates messing with these belts sometimes? Oh my goodness, what a mess. There we go. .400 grit. I decided to start with the fine conditioning belt because look at that bevel. It is super clean, and I think the medium conditioning belt would probably put more scratches in it than there is right now. Last belt is the felt buffing belt, and I'm gonna get this thing loaded down with rouge also. Oh, this thing she's sharp. Yeah, so I'm going to wrap this thing up to protect me and the edge, because this thing is just, it's scary sharp. Okay, got it wrapped up to protect myself and the edge. We have just enough room for the scales. Let's see. Yep, got about 1/4 inch, so that'll work out good. I'm going to sand this down with 80 grit just to kind of give a little more surface area for the epoxy to stick to and adhere to, and then we're going to prep it for glue up. We're almost there for the day. Got 80 grit. I'm just going to run it down, not too much, just enough to kind of rough it up a little. Okay, these are what loveless bolts are. I just run them up. These get ran all the way up to the top. And you just basically put the epoxy on, put them in from this side. They sit down inside. They go through the knife and through the other scale. You get another round nut, and then you just use a screwdriver, squeeze it all in. And when they're done, they look cool using copper bolt with brass round nuts. All right, the last thing I do before I start mixing anything is I'll get acetone, wipe down the inside of the scales. Obviously, I'm going to make sure they're completely dry before I start, but I want to get all the dirt, dust, any oils, pull that out and wipe it down. And that goes the same for the tang as well. .50-50 epoxy. So the first thing I do is I like to lay it on the scales first. Just get 100% coverage, nice coat. It doesn't hurt to have too much, not really, because it's going to whatever is not necessary is going to squeeze out anyway. So move on to this. That's that. First one on. We just want to get these in. Might need to give them a little tappy tap. Flip it over. The epoxy should do a pretty decent job of holding it on. There we go. Get the screws. Get them on. Or the nuts. I don't think that there's any other more secure way to hold on a set of scales. I like to work my way from the front to the back. That way, if there's any excess, it'll push it out that way. Even though it's going to come out the front anyway, but you know, I think it'll help. I think it helps. In my opinion, it helps guide that stuff to the back. I just get them to where they're just snug to make sure the alignment is good to go before I wrench them down. Give it a quick check. Tighten it down. Acetone. Wipe down all the front here. And the back where it's squeezed out. If I got any epoxy on the finished wood, it will show up when I add the aqua fortis. So we got to make sure we get the epoxy off of the finished part. There's some right there. That's it. That's it. Now we just wait for it to dry. I'm going to let it dry or cure overnight. Come back and then we'll take these screws off and start shaping the handle. So in my mind, I will see you guys tomorrow. In your mind, you'll see me in about 30 seconds. So I'll be right back. The next day, I told you I'd be right back. But yeah, it's all glued up. The epoxy's all cured, dried. I'm gonna get a hacksaw and cut off all of these loveless bolts and the screws. And we'll get it on the grinder. I'm excited about this thing, man. This thing's cool. Yeah. The reason why I'm using a hacksaw is because these copper bolts, when I put them on the grinder, they're going to build up an excess amount of heat really fast. So I'm going to try to mitigate all that heat because of this. This maple is really susceptible to heat. So, and it's white wood, and I don't want to burn it because it will burn. Don't ask me how I know, but yeah, I know. So I'm going to cut all the heads off the loveless screws and the screws off the other side. All right, got that one done. So now we're going to basically take the grinder and take all these off, and then I'm going to work on the top and bottom profile. This is 24 grit, and I'm just going to use it to hog off and get the profile right and get it close to the thinness that I want. And I'm going to do the rest because it's maple. Maple is it can be easily shaped with that palm sander. So I'm going to do the final shaping with my palm sander. So because it's maple, maple's an extremely hard wood. I'm going to slow my grinder down to about 30%. And also it kind of helps keeping me from making a mistake. Because if I slip or something, you know, the 24 grit, it'll get put a pretty substantial gouge, and that's something I don't want to do. So I'm going to get this thing profiled. So I got it. It's even. That didn't take much long, maybe just a couple of minutes. Now I'm going to work on getting the top and the bottom profiled out. And I'm going to get close because I don't want to put any scratches in the actual tang itself. So I'm going to get close. And then, like in this spot, I'm going to have to get my small wheel attachment to get in there. But yeah. We're going to get the top and the bottom profile. We got the profile all the way up to about right here. Right, and I'm going to get my small wheel attachment so I can get all the rest of this. This is also a pretty cool thing with this grinder. Take that off. Put this one on. Get my small wheel. That's it. And then I have to make a belt adjustment, a tension adjustment, because it's got to go basically all the way up. Make sure it's good. It's good. Yeah. This all profile top and bottom. It's starting to feel like a handle now. So now I'm just going to put, just like I did with the front and the back, I'm just going to put some bevels along the sides, and then I'll finish it off with my palm sander. All right, got, I don't know, there may be like a quarter of an inch bevels. They're not too big, basically because I just don't want to get out of hand, but we're gonna go over and shape it on the palm sander on my bench. I got my palm sander, and I'm just gonna kind of work it back and forth until I'm happy with how this is, and then I'm going to flip it over and do the other. Got the bevels all straight, and we're going to sand the flat right here to get the scratches off from the 24 grit, and then start shaping the handle. Yeah. Check that out. Man, this thing is starting to feel fantastic. I am excited. I always get excited when the project starts to come together. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I can start to see. But, I mean, this isn't going to be white. I'm going to treat the handle with aqua fortis. That's better. Getting a little dusty in here. So I got this sanded to 400, and I'm going to do 600, and that's it. I am totally happy with how this is turning out. Once I add the aqua fortis, then I'll sand it down with 800, maybe even 1,000, just to knock off the high grain in case I got to do it again. So 600 is going to be the last step, and I'll flip it over and we'll do the other side. All right, let's get this thing unclamped. Oh my goodness. I love it. I love it. Absolutely love it. So aqua fortis is kind of I made this solution. I know it looks like toxic waste, so it probably is. I took nitric acid and water, and I used steel wool to create this chemical compound. What you do is you add it to it, let it dry, and then you apply heat to it. I'm going to bring you guys through the process. You just need a little bitty rag, because it doesn't take much. And I'm just going to dip it in there, make sure. You got to have gloves on, and you got to have ventilation. So I just opened my door. I'm going to put this on and do my best not to get it on the steel. And I'm just going to apply heat to the handle. It got a little bit darker. Let's see if I can show you. It got a little bit darker, and you can see the curl now. So what this is going to do is, when I apply the heat to it, it's going to turn it an amber color, and then it's going to bring out the curl once I oil it. So I'm going to get this thing zoomed in, my camera zoomed in, so you can watch up close. And put it on high. There it goes. All right, that's it. So I'm going to sand this down real quick, very, very lightly with like probably 1,000 grit. That's it. Let's oil it. I just use regular boiled linseed oil. Well, not regular. I get this stuff from, oh man, this is absolutely sick. I get this stuff from Amazon. It's pure Swedish boiled linseed oil. Holy crap. Let me get this thing oiled and I'll show you in a sec. And I got terrible lighting. Let me turn this thing around. Look at that curl. Absolutely stunning. So the next step that I need to do is I need to seal this wood and polish it. The stuff I use to seal it, it's Aussie oil, high gloss rubbing, and friction oil. Absolutely amazing stuff. You gotta shake it up. But now you can see that curl, now that the lighting's better. Maybe I need to fix the lighting in here in the shop. But look at that. Look at that curl. Just everywhere, everywhere. All the way up and down. So with this stuff, the friction oil, first thing I need to do is, kind of leaking. So I just load a rag down with it. Just that. And then start adding. It's a friction oil, so it's going to soak in it first. And then once it fills in, it's going to start polishing. And like I said, it's a friction polish. So once it gets soaked in, starts building up, it's going to start shining. I think we got it. I think we got it. Look at that. Whoa. Oh my goodness. Let's get this thing unwrapped. The blade is done. That's it. We're done. Got this big ass Foster Brothers. Yeah. 16-inch cleaver, 33 inches overall length with this killer curly maple handle. Absolutely stunning. Man, I am super excited about this. Look at the size of this thing. It is freaking massive. I don't even want to turn it without holding it again, you know, flipping it around. But, man, this was an absolute stunner of a project. Thank you guys for coming along. Like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next week. That's it. That's all I got. Y'all have a good day.